The award-winning.
We already messed up once, folks. Welcome inside the OSHL podcast. That's the Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. I'm your host tonight, Trey Hamilton. We're coming to you live from Warkworth, Ontario, the home of, the Trent Hills Stallions. This has been something we have been looking forward to all year, guys, and we finally get to make it happen. I'm going to introduce everybody. I mean, you guys are going to know our faces by now, know our voices by now, but why not go ahead and just go with the introductions. Representing this beautiful county up here, and I mean, these teams that are up in this area filling us in on everything and pushing us to make sure that we get out here and do this. Welcome to the show, Mr. Bill Newman. It's great to see him live in person as well.
Yeah, welcome to Warkworth, guys. I hope you enjoyed it tonight.
It's great to be here. I got the director of OSHL social media here. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, Brad Thompson, Director of Media Relations for the OSHL, Executive Producer of this podcast. So I'm looking forward to edit this later. It's going to be, I'll be doing it during the warm-ups.
We're going to be racking up the fines tonight, folks. And we also got the probably best hockey player on this panel here tonight. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Mr. Brad Bird.
Yeah, Brad Burton, just an innocent bystander here in the OSHL, checking out the action up in Warkworth. It was a nice drive in here. It looks like a great road cycling area. I got into that here recently, so it looks like it would be fun to put the road bike out here. It was a nice drive in, I must say.
Definitely. We took a little cruise today when we got up at the Airbnb and took some of the back roads. And I got to say, in the summer, I mean, you'd know better than me. I bet you in the summer, amazing roads to drive. You got the bends and the curves. It would just be a great time.
Oh yeah, and you got Hastings. You came through right on the bridge, so that thing's packed with fishermen. Hastings is a beautiful town.
Yep.
Part of Trent Hills. So it's one of the quieter ones on the far side.
Yep.
So it's gorgeous in the summer down through. All the boats come through the canal, and the brewery's also out by there. So
okay.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and plug our favorite brewery as well because we're here. We wouldn't be able to do this without our sponsors, folks, and our primary sponsor of tonight's podcast and every podcast is Mighty Expedite, where time is on your side. Check them out on their social medias or head to mightyexpedite.com for any and all of your logistics needs. That's Mighty Expedite, where time is on your side. And also the wonderful Cameron's Brewing Company, established Oakville, Ontario, 1997. One of the best craft breweries around. I know we got quite a few of them to hand over to Mr. Bill Newman after this is all said and done. But
if we don't drink them all.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bill better come over to the Airbnb for a visit because he might not get his hands on his beer later because there's quite a few and they're all amazing. They make all the way from strong, heavy IPAs down to just a simple light lager. Cameron's Brewing Company, established Oakville, Ontario, 1997, also a sponsor of the OSHL podcast. All right, so first and foremost, Cassie, wow, this jersey, what a job. I mean, I put this on my number one on my favorite jersey rankings, so I knew it was coming eventually. This is just a gorgeous jersey, folks. I mean, just look at this. We got the 24 for the inaugural season. You got the horseshoe logo here. You got the Stallions. Look at that, loud and proud. Bill, I mean, you get to see these jerseys all the time, but like, what are you thinking of the design of this thing just to kick this show off?
Well, I like the thread count in it. First off, I think that it really pops. It really signifies everything that goes on here. But it's just it's a great color. It's a bright color, and it stands out against the other teams, in my opinion.
Yep.
You got the deep red with Madoc. You got the purple and gold, of course, in the county. But I think it just pops against other teams. I just like how rich it is, and it reminds me of the Broadside Rollies there in the Philadelphia. So that's what my favorite thing there. So
that's what we're here for. This is a gorgeous jersey, and a huge shout out to Cassie and everybody up here at Trent Hills for making this all possible, bringing us up here, and I mean, hosting us in this legendary old school barn. I know it's not as old school as the Cow Palace outside. I heard a few stories about that building, but I don't know if you got any stories about that one.
Well, I remember skating in the Cow Palace, and I remember hitting the beam in the middle of the Cow Palace. You had to skate around the beam. But yeah, this arena was built in 1977. They worked with the Kinsman Cadets, built this building. They were inducted last year in the Trent Hills Wall of Honor. Tomorrow is the unveiling, by the way, in Camelford, so I'll be over there for that. But the work with Kinsman Cadets built this arena. My parents were both on that committee for this, so they put their name on it, their names at the front door. Again, Bryce Allen, the Vickers, all the Orrs, all of them that helped build this great arena. And then it was just renovated again by the Friends of the Workworth Arena. They put all the new lights, all the new siding, the new dress rooms down the back. So a lot of work has gone in here. They redid all the banners down the side, all the championships we put in here.
Yep.
Redid the lobby. This thing is beautiful. And, it's a gorgeous arena.
Can't wait to watch some hockey here tonight, folks. We're setting up tonight for the Madoc and Trent Hills, a huge matchup. I mean, you're looking here at the standings, and Richmond Hill is currently in third. You got Madoc in second. Huge shout out to them, I mean, for climbing up the standings. Trent Hills sitting in that 4 seed right now ahead of the county. 12 points for Trent Hills, and then you got, what has Madoc got now, 18? So
Yep.
a little bit of a gap now. I want to ask you before we set up the game itself, what does Trent Hills have to do tonight to get back into this race? Because if they steal 2 points here tonight, they got 14. Madoc's going to be sitting at 18, and, I mean, they're right in the race.
So Trent Hills is in a little bit. I was going to save this for later. Bertie and I were talking about this. We were going to bring it in the picks.
I spoiled it.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some inside information here. Trent Hills have just lost 2 key players.
Okay.
Russell Bradley may be able to get one more game in, but they lost oh, man, for the love of God, I can't remember who it was.
Live show, folks.
Live show. Yeah, but they lost defenseman Morin.
Okay.
He logs 20-plus minutes a game.
Yep.
He's a huge loss for them. Broke his ankle, playing men's league, of course. So he's a huge loss for them. So they did get some filler players in. There's a new player tonight, Benny Scar. So he'll be here tonight, and they do have a full lineup, so we'll see how it goes. Trent Hills needs to get all the points they can.
Yep.
I talked to Madoc today. They're very, very confident about the second place. They want the home ice advantage. They're hungry. They want it.
Well,
We also might have heard something about some other team in the Central League getting some points here too, so that could make things interesting down the stretch.
I think we can announce that. I
yeah,
don't see why not.
I mean, we got somebody here if he wants to step up and just fill us all in on this.
Nope, shook
He's
his
like,
head. Bill,
I'm getting the no.
Director of the OSHL, Bill Ryan, shaking his head over in the corner there. But I believe we're now allowed to announce it that the County Royals have been awarded 7 points, I believe, for previous games. That there's the whole Uxbridge situation. There's a couple other games, so. It's not updated on the OSHL website yet, but they're sitting at 12 points. So this is a huge game for Trent Hills.
Yeah, because now they're tied, and I mean they could snap of a finger be on the outside looking in, right? And they're going to match up with the county a couple times as we get down the home stretch here, and how important those games are going to be in terms of sneaking in here in the Central. And I mean, what do you think, Bill? Inaugural season here in the Central. Obviously, you got Orangeville; they're a powerhouse. I don't think anybody anticipated them to come out and dress the roster they did this year. A huge shout out to them for getting it done. But these other teams, startup teams, brand new. What can you tell us about Madoc, Trent Hills County? And I want you to tell us about the steps that they've taken in the right direction from beginning of the season to now.
So first and foremost, they got the community involved. So that was the number one thing to get done. Cassie's been very, very, very focused with that.
Yep.
They got the bunch of the local boys on the ice. They all played right from the get-go. Of course, we drew from Trent Hills. Still like to get some of those Trent Hill boys back. They're playing in another league, another team. If they come back, it'll be even better. So Cassie, and they had to overcome a former league that was here with not the best owner. So they had to overcome that drastically.
Yep.
Madoc also has the same problem. They have to overcome that reputation, which they're doing, which has been fantastic. So basically it was limp out of the first year, which they've done. The county, they're just having a good time down there. I talk to Tyler all the time. You know what? They know what they are. They're just having a great time. You know, they're vibing. The dressing room's great. You know, they had chili the one night. It was fantastic there. So they're vibing. I know apparently, I don't know if they can announce it yet, but they might have a permanent home next year on a permanent night, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's going to be great. But Trent Hills needs to get the wily forward, the power forward. They got all the grinders. They have all the grinders. They got the meat potatoes here. That's what Workwith is known for.
Yep.
That's how we won championships here. We just grinded and pounded everybody out. We just need a little more talent. That's not anything to the guys in the dressing room right now, but they just need that little more firepower. And if they get that, and same with Madoc, if Madoc gets a little more firepower, they got Samus and them, they just need a little bit more, and the county, they're going to come along. County has a big draw. They got some names down there. Let's just see how they do, but all three teams had to overcome a bad reputation from another league, from another owner, and they've overcome that. So let's get out of the league, establish that they're going to be here next year. They're part of a better league. Right, number 69 in the world, right? Number 10 in Canada.
That's right.
So that's a great stat. So we need to just build on that, and that's what they're going to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've been so impressed with it. excuse me, this year as well, just from the outside looking in, right? Because for us, for those of you who don't know, this guy's a little bit closer, but he's still 2.5 hours from here. we're Bertsy and I are 4 hours plus from this area in general. So for us, we heard about the expansion. We were really excited to see where it was going to head, but we didn't know what we were walking into, right? We didn't know what to expect. And just going from day one to here we are today, to see the crowds that they're getting up here, to see the support from the public, to see the people. That's what I keep telling everybody is, you know what, like the product on the ice is what it is. The first year, it's a startup, right? Like you have to start somewhere, and it, you know, it's ground up literally. So unless you have a guy who played in the NHL that wants to just hop right on your roster, it's hard to build a championship team in your first year. But what we've seen is the community support, right? This is how you started. It's a foundation, right? You want to build that reputation within the community, and it seems like, especially here in Warkworth, it seems like they've done a great job of that. They're getting great crowds. The hayloft is bumping. I mean, they put on just these beautiful jerseys alone. I mean, it seems like they've taken those steps in the right direction, and Cassie knows that, you know, you have to build, like you said, they're coming off a reputation that was kind of, you know, what would you say, not exactly great with previous team, previous ownership, previous league. And for her to be able to connect with the community here, her and her husband getting things done the right way, this is a recipe for success, right? It's just going to take a couple more guys coming in, a couple more guys spotting the league and watching the playoff streams on Sportfy, whatever it may be, and realizing, like, this is good hockey, and I want to be part of that, right? And
well, that's exactly. Look at tonight, even, right? This very special night. You wonder why I'm wearing the
show
hot
it
dog
off.
jersey.
Yeah, show.
So the Travis Gillespie jersey. So this was a tattoo. So he made a bet, and he lost a bet, and this was a tattoo that he had. So he had to put that on. So it's on the jerseys. Trent Hills is going to wear this tonight. All the money from the game tonight, all the gate, dollar from the hayloft bar, all goes towards the foundation.
Yeah.
They kick it back to minor hockey. They kick it back to the MMA fighting. So it's these community events. And then, so tonight with the Travis Gillespie game tonight, and then Madoc being in town, this thing will fill up very, very fast.
Oh, yeah. It's a rivalry. I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, what I want to do with the first portion of this show is just focus on what we're seeing here tonight. Madoc and Trent Hills, you've got to see it. I mean, yourself, you've called a couple of those games this year. What is that rivalry like locally? These kids have played against each other since they were 6-7 years old back in, I mean, Timbits hockey, some of these guys, right? So what is this rivalry like on the ice? What should us three expect to see on that ice surface in the next hour and a half?
So tonight you're going to see Madoc come out of the gate. They're going to be hitting hard, right? They got Banks, they got Moffat, all the new guys in there. They got the Fergusons.
Yep.
They got Peaver on the point. They're starting Chrislin tonight. He's starting.
He sent us a message. He's excited.
He's ready to go.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see him up here while we're recording.
Actually, I think that was him running down the far side there outside the arena.
He's doing some stretches.
Yeah, somebody was there. So you're going to see a really hard-hitting game tonight. Patrick Cole's going to be all over the ice tonight, hammering guys.
Yep.
And we'll see how Trent Hills is going to counter that. So, again, they played each other all those years. They know each other. And it's funny because I talk to certain players on one team and certain players on their team, and when they come together and then they're kind of haggling about each other, like there was a big incident in the last game where, a player was ejected and everything else, and I heard all about it, how this one player did this and this player, and then on the other side I heard, well, that guy did this and this. So I had to laugh at that because the two sides, two different stories.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious. So those guys are going to be bringing it all night.
Yeah.
They're going to be hammering each other. It's going to be very, very physical. I don't think it's going to be overly fast.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be really heavy hitting.
Yeah.
And then eventually there's one team's just going to get the leverage. Trent Hills needs to win. Madoc wants home ice advantage.
Yeah. So
that's
there's
pretty much comes down to
so much on the line, right? Like we saw it last night in another Central game. We had Orangeville and Richmond Hill meet, and we were talking about it. The Richmond Hill right now sitting in the 3 seed, right? That was their chance to try to jump back in. And Orangeville, they lost to Richmond Hill in Orangeville a few weeks back, so that was a huge revenge game for them as well. And you could tell that the playoff atmosphere is starting to ramp up. And I don't know, Bertsy, if you've caught any games in the western side of things recently, but do you feel that, like, as a player that played at this level, did you feel when you got into those last 5-6 games when things are this tight, what did it feel like? What did the atmosphere feel like? What did the dressing room feel like as a player?
Yeah, I think almost like what Patty would allude to a lot of times is just you're starting to get a full roster more often, and just the vibe of anticipation, and you're finally getting to the part of the year that a lot of players truly, that's what they want, right? So you have certain players that are your, in this league, you got to get your minimum 6. So we just saw last night with McNeil and Schremp getting in their sixth
Yep.
and final game in game 24.
Yep.
I mean,
It's right down to the wire, eh?
you anticipate that those players are almost going to be there every single playoff game. So I know I was in a similar situation when I played. I had a specific kind of schedule that I went off of. It was never going to be more than one game on a weekend until the playoffs rolled around, and that was kind of a household kind of agreement that this is what we play for. And you see it teams get caught off guard, because if you're looking at the standings and you think that you have an advantage over this other team because you did really well in the regular season, well, a team like Strathroy, that now they have Schremp, Buck, now with McQueen coming over. So you got a team there that realistically, especially with the DeBrouwer factor, is probably your top 4 team in the West.
I've heard from a number of teams in the West they don't want to play Strathroy in the first round.
I mean, can you blame them? I mean, have you, Bertsy, witnessed in your career going way back? I'm even talking like minor hockey. Have you witnessed a team that wasn't that talented, had a couple of good players, but their goaltender stole them a series? Like, have you seen that growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I remember, like, kind of my first few years in the WOA with the Lucknow Lancers. We had, I wouldn't say a necessarily overly skilled team. It was a 6, 7, 8 kind of seed out of 14 in the North Division when they had that many teams.
Yep.
Or it might have been 12. I don't know where it was, but we had some good goaltending, and we put on a team that would go out there and grind it out, much like probably what you would see with Trent Hills and Madoc.
Yep.
And my favorite series was going up to Port Elgin and playing the top seeds Saugeen team, and we come out. It was a best of 5 series, and we actually took the first 2 on that opening weekend.
Wow.
Based a lot on my performance, but good goaltending.
Pumping his tires here, eh? Like,
but
Could you pat him in the back? Could you pat him in the back?
just good job, Bertsy.
Yeah. But if it was a 3-game weekend, that opening round, it would have been a 7 over a 2 upset. But game 3, 4, and 5 were the following weekend, and the better team was just able to regroup.
Yeah.
But you could definitely see in that series alone, goaltending factor. I can also say, playing on the other side, I was a 2nd seed facing a 7th seed, and it was a team much like what Strathroy is, a team that nobody really wanted to draw in the playoffs because they had a really good fundamental team based on playing good defense and goaltending, and we couldn't score.
Yeah.
And they put us out in 4.
Yep.
So it was a team where we had gone in a 20-game schedule. We had at least 17 or 18 wins on that season. It might have been a 24-game schedule, but we were up there high teens in wins, and we just didn't have the answer for that team who has played us really well.
It just proves, right, that nobody's going to want to face a Strathroy in that situation. And for teams like Tilbury that have just kind of floating around right now, I mean, Tilbury has not had a great year. At the beginning of the year, before rosters were announced even, a lot of people were expecting them to be a top 4. I mean, when I had made my initial season breakdown, I was unaware of the Central. All that kind of came up later, but obviously Alvinston and Tillsonburg were the front runners because, I mean, one team just won and the other team was right there in Game 7. And then I had Stratford and I had the Tilbury Bluebirds in my top 4. I thought Petrolia was a team that could have made a run as well. But again, Petrolia is what I was going to say to you in a bit here, is a team that if I was these guys, I'd base my roster around a team like that where, you know what, they have a few really good players that coach junior in the area, but they have the ties to the organization and the community. But most of those guys are meat and potatoes, right? And you rely on finding a good young goaltender. Petrolia has impressed me this year. Tilbury, on the other hand, before we get to that thought, has really not impressed me, right? And that's one of the things. I'm not calling out the Bluebirds on the podcast. I think we've done that enough here this year. But this is going to be a situation as we get to the playoffs because, let's face it, folks, we're in the Western Division a week away from getting everything really ramped up. Like, we got teams now that are 24 games done. So we'll just break it down as well. Delhi, the outside looking in, Delhi did settle at the 9 seed, so they will not make the postseason. They've played all 24 games. They only have 17 points in the West. And right now in the 8th seed is Dunnville at 19, and then Tilbury just ahead of them at 20. And Strathroy is done their season as well. They're in the 6th seed at 21. So Tilbury 2 games remaining, the only team with 2 games remaining. They play tonight against Dunnville, and then they go on the road to Alvinston. Dunnville closes out their season tonight against Tilbury. So, again, these games are beginning to mean so much, and we get to see a game here tonight that is the same situation where you got a team that could jump a whole seed if they just go on a little bit of a heater, and I'm excited to see that. But, yeah, that thought on Petrolia, Bertsy, you were part of that team for a couple years. Petrolia has never been known as the most skilled team in the WAA back in those days, the OEHL. Now that's what the league is. But now since it came to the Washel again, never been known as the most skilled team, but they grind. They know their ice surface. They play well at home. They get guys on the road. And, I mean, look at them right now sitting up in the top 3 seeds right now of – actually, they're in the 4 seed right now, but they're in the top 4 seeds of one of the most competitive semi-pro leagues in the world, right? And they built that without a ton of super skilled guys. Like you look at Vandenborn came in this year. It's a kid that played locally, and if you see him, if you watch him, you're going to say that guy's not the best hockey player, but he's making an impact, right? Guys like Keating making an impact. You got the big giant like Marshy. I love to see Marshy out there, right? He's a guy who will lay the body, block a ton of shots, always responsible. And for the guys up here in Trent Hills, Madoc, the county, these new teams, I'd focus on trying to build kind of a roster construction similar to that. What are your guys' thoughts on that thought?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So they have the key pieces here, right?
Yeah.
They got their workhorse defensemen. They got their 2-3 lines pretty much solidified. I think that Jake Trotter, I think he's fantastic in the center.
Yeah.
I like to see him up on the second line instead of the third line. I'm not coaching the team though.
Coach Bill.
Coach Bill Newman here.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. I bet you he'll run 80% in the faceoff.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal
that's
there.
all. That's
he'll be battling Luke Hagel all night tonight. Little wee guy, he's a firefighter, thick, just like his old man.
Yeah.
So he's a tough guy. He'll get right through that. One of the key pieces, Jake Newman's not here tonight. He's a block shot. He'll jump in front of anything. So he'll jump right in front of that. So they're going to miss him tonight. But we'll see where they fit in. And again, Moran gone. That's huge.
Yeah.
And Russell Bradley gone. That's another big key piece.
Bedard in that as well going.
Bardard.
He's
He's in Tweed right now.
Yeah,
And they're going to go with Hess tonight.
Yep.
So the goalies are almost even tonight. I think, Logan Hess has a .867 and Crystal has a .86.
Yeah.
So goalies are going to match up great tonight. It should be good. I just think they need to get, they need that flashy forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Another league I used to officiate in, we always made the joke that they had those import players, you had to get the crazy Russian.
Yeah.
Like the crazy European that was just up at the front. He was just creative. He was nuts. He got the puck in the net, and he was flashy.
Yeah.
They need that here.
Yeah.
Where they're going to find it, don't know yet.
Yeah, and that's why you just got to let things come together,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you see it obviously this year for Delhi tough, outside looking in, but I mean, Alvinston, we talk about it ad nauseum. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it at home, but the Killer Bees started out as a 1 or 2 win team, a team that you go into a barn in Alvinston that's really, honestly, I'm not going to lie, they're pretty much the exact same size as this barn. It's ironic that Alvinston, the only difference is the seating is elevated, and then there's a catwalk underneath where the players, opposing team dressing room, they come out, but very similar how it's built over there, which is funny. I guess the old school barns all have a feel. But these guys started out with really nothing, right? And talent-wise, they were, leagues behind what the rest of this league was. You had the established Aloras and Tilsonburgs and the up-and-coming Stratford. And, look, it was big shock. Alora and Tilsonburg were in the WAA. Guess who met in the first championship of this league? 2 teams that were already established and were previous leagues and champions in previous leagues, right? So for these guys down here, that's definitely a huge piece of advice, right? As look at the blueprint that teams like Alvinston and Orangeville, which was originally Aaron, you were part of that.
Yep.
They started out as, it was Brian Hawley would say it for Stratford. You'd see Alvinston on the schedule and you'd just write W beside it, right? And for these teams, what I like about the way that the league is oriented this year, I know Orangeville, it's a huge skill gap, but these 3 specifically with County, Madoc, Trent Hills, the talent level is a lot closer, and it allows these guys to get into these high-intensity battles, playoff atmosphere, and, they don't have to deal with what some of these other teams like Delhi and Alvinston dealt with years ago, but stick to the game plan, because then you see Alvinston Killer Bees at number 1 in the Western standings right now. They were a team like Trent Hills that people would say they had, limited talent, meat and potatoes. and look what they became, right? So just keep sticking to it. And Cassie doing a great job up here. We appreciate it. And
Yeah.
I mean, just look at this. Like I
Kind
said.
of what I would allude to there as well is if I'm thinking of Christian Crystalin,
Yep.
the goaltender for Madoc, talking about his experience and how he was able to kind of, he didn't necessarily envision this at all, but to see his progress through the season, he's not the only one. You can see it through and through both or all three teams' rosters and Richmond Hill as well. So
Yep.
it's encouraging to see that all the teams are finding where they stand and kind of maybe their style of game where they can find a little bit of success, and they've all been able to do it in some capacity.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to see that these three teams out here in the Central have done a really good job, and obviously Richmond Hill has done a good job there as well.
For sure, and that's the thing, right? It's a startup. We talked about it, and you got to start somewhere. And I'm really excited to see what the future holds for these teams, no matter what. It's going to be really exciting. All right, Bill Newman's going to cut us to commercial break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to recap last night's action across the OSHL, and then we're going to go into a little bit more detail on this game. Once again, thank everybody for bringing us up here, and we'll finish out the show with our pick'em. All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back.
The award-winning Cameron's Brewing is our official beer of choice and proud sponsor of the OSHL podcast. The family-run craft brewery based in Oakville, Ontario started their journey back in 1997 and have been recognized over 250 times at local, national, and worldwide brewing awards, including their proudest achievement of having their hazy IPA cruising through the galaxy being named the world's best IPA at the 2021 World Beer Awards. Cameron's Brewing products are available at the LCBO Beer Store and other select retailers across Ontario. Online and in-store pickup available to customers 19 plus. Be sure to visit their website at www.cameronsbrewing.com to find out more about your new favorite brewing company.
Mighty Expedite is your #1 third-party logistics provider. At Mighty Expedite, they don't just move freight, they deliver solutions. With over 25 years of industry experience, follow them across all social media platforms at Mighty Expedite. Mighty Expedite, where time is on your side.
You're the lead guy up in Trent Hills here, so I'll pass it off to you before Trey gets back.
Oh, I know. I don't know what's going on. They went for a break. We come back for commercial, and everybody just
He fell in somewhere.
probably
wet.
got rolling around in the hayloft or something.
Yeah,
Right? I
that's-
know the bar just opened.
That's
right?
exactly
So-
what happened. Well, you guys were doing a great job without us. So
Speaking of haylofts, I'll tell you a story of a spot.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
So
Birdsie
I was
story
wondering
time.
exactly, because Bill would always allude to the hayloft up here. I used to play, obviously, Huron County, Perth County, Milverton, their old arena. They literally had a hayloft up above the warm section. And it was pretty interesting to see. It was quite the place to play in.
Does this remind you of any other barns, Bertsy, from your playing days? Like, I remember watching WAA as a kid. Obviously, I mean, Greenwood Rec Center in Petrolia, not a vibe to it's a different construct, but it's similar of that old school. You got the rafters going up. I know Petrolia's ceiling though is, I don't know if you've been down there at Greenwood Rec Center in Petrolia. The ceiling's 8 feet off the ground, so you lift anything high and out, it's getting blown dead right away. Elvinston, same thing. They got netting that goes above the ice surface. It's like 15 feet in the air. Hoist it up, try to get it out of the zone, and it's going right in the netting and gets stuck in the roof and then fall down. Officials have to blow it dead. So it's one of those vibes that I love seeing, the old school rinks like this. Like my family is from Northern Ontario, so my dad was born and raised in New Liskeard, Ontario, which is way the heck up north, a lot further north than even here. But it has that same vibe, that small town vibe, right? And I believe New Liskeard had a team when he was younger called the Cubs, and I don't remember if they were junior C or if they were senior. I could ask him, but he's
Walking right there.
he's
I
distracted.
was telling your dad earlier when kind of just the vibe that I got from here was I think I said the 2022 final. I think it was the 21 final when I was playing in Clinton. It was
Yep.
Clinton, and it was the Battle of Highway 8, Seaforth, literally within 10 minutes of each other, and both arenas were packed. This is reminiscent of the Seaforth Arena, and just kind of, it was a pretty wild atmosphere there during the finals. And actually we had played them right before the lockout or lockdown in 2020 in the first round, which was another amazing series between those two teams. It was really fun, and kind of the vibe here with the one-sided seating. But I mean, if we're talking playoffs, there's going to be standing room only, and that's exactly what it was there. They had the stairs come down from their bar area, and they were packed like 8, 9 deep. I think they were even standing on top of each other and pretty vocal. So it was kind of the first thing that I thought of here when I was talking to your dad just prior to coming on.
Yep, and it does have that same vibe. And I mean, Bill, have you played in this barn when you were younger? Or
Oh yeah, I
saw your name right away on a few things down there, so I said, all right, I got to ask Bill.
Well, so yeah, we got banners hanging over there. I put a couple up in here, so I'll tell you right now. Yeah, it's over there.
Player turned ref over here. Good guy to bad guy. Yeah,
well,
that's how it works.
hey, my playing days were up there. You want to be a ref? I'm like, what? Those guys. But no, I'll tell you, when in '93 when we won the big one here, this place was absolutely jammed. Like you see the three tiers with the back tier.
Yep.
It was double tiered at the top. Kids were standing on an old roster that was or an old railing that went down the back.
Wow.
Around the whole siding, you used to be able to get down in there. It was just packed in here. The warm part was packed, and I'm going to throw some old names out for the work with people. You know, Tab was here. God bless him. So we had all those characters we had here. I think my dad still stands in the same spot. He stands in the corner over there. You'll see him tonight.
Yep.
He does not move. But no, the community involvement again. Cassie just changed the liquor license in here. The whole building's now licensed.
That's good to know for tonight.
That is huge.
She actually did it for tonight. So because she knew you guys wanted to move around and not get stuck up here all night.
That's because of this guy right
That's pretty much
They
it.
know when I'm coming.
So we're going to be able to put enough guys in here, enough people in here. I'm pretty sure it's going to fill up very fast. It usually does, and we should have a great crowd tonight. So I'm very excited about that. And of course the Travis Gillespie night, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it should be huge tonight.
It's a huge night, exactly, and that's what we're here for, right? This is super excited to be able to bring this to you guys live. This is the pregame show, I guess you would call it. The first thing I wanted to do quickly, thank our sponsors once again for tonight's podcast. Mighty Expedite, the primary sponsor of the OSHL podcast, where time is on your side. Check them out on their social medias or head to mightyexpedite.com for any and all of your logistics needs. That's Mighty Expedite, where time is on your side. And also the wonderful Cameron's Brewing Company. We do not have Cameron's on us tonight because it's not a beer that is sold here, but we do have Cameron's in the area. So Bill Newman, don't worry. It is established, Oakville, Ontario, 1997. Cruising through the galaxy. I didn't want to put Bertie on the spot here. One of the top IPAs in the world. 6.9%, so you have a couple of those, and
Nice.
you are flying into the hayloft, I can tell you that much. So Cameron's Brewing Company, established Oakville, Ontario, 1997. Huge sponsor of the OSHL podcast.
I know, like, Bill likes to ride Patty pretty hard, but he gave me some insider information there earlier. So I don't know if he wants me to disclose
Do
it or
it.
not.
I'm in.
We're on the spot.
Do it.
Well, because of Bill's unfortunate heart condition, he's not able to crack into those Camerons quite yet. So
Yeah. Okay. So Bill,
I know he's got them on cue, I guess.
They're on
ready
ice.
to go.
They're on ice and ready to go.
on display. So
Yeah, the hard part with that was I was a big beer drinker too, like
Yep.
Untapped and everything else.
Yep.
I've had Camerons before, love Camerons,
Yep.
and it's really hard to see all that stuff there. So
it is tough.
It's pretty hard.
I mean, we sent it up your way, and then you know what? We know it's in a good place for when you're ready to go. And I had a New Year's party, and Patty graciously sponsored the New Year's party. And I'm not a huge IPA guy myself, but I have a couple buddies that love IPA, and they tried out the red ale. I know I've talked about it a couple times, and I believe I had 12 red ales in the fridge, and it was about 10:30 at night, and I had 0 left. So a lot of good things said about Camerons. I know it's not a Camerons-based show here, but I figured we'd get off on that little side rant. And don't worry, Bill, keep sticking to it, and we'll get some Camerons your way. I mean, all the leftovers are going to you, but now I think
If
Thompson's
there's leftovers.
going to try to keep his hands on
That's a
those.
fine.
We can
Yeah,
let
that's
him
a fine.
deposit all the empties.
Yeah, exactly. We can send all the deposits.
Patty, that's a fine.
All right, so we actually have an out-of-town scoreboard update for you because Petrolia and Alvinston have started.
Yeah.
They're underway as of about 10 minutes ago, 0-0, so no score update. But they are underway, folks, and if you want to check out that game prior to watching our game, just head over to OSHL Live on Sportfeed where you're watching this right now. Go over, you'll see the Alvinston feed. Joel Campbell's on the call. Huge shout out to Joel. Couldn't be here tonight because he's on the call of that game. Also, shout out Patio and Brian Hawley. Hopefully your back gets all better, Brian.
And actually, if you look here on Game Center, it's 0-0. It's also 0 trash cans thrown so far.
Oh, Mercy's getting
They
started.
got the counter on that as well.
What's the over/under?
1.5.
One, hopefully 0.
I don't
0.5.
know. I think Dan in Alvinston might have screwed a few into the floor just so that nobody gets rowdy because you just never know when those two teams meet. And that's kind of, I mean, the whole trash can incident, everything like that, that's in the past now. But that's kind of what I want to see, not the trash can side of it, but I want to see that from these two teams tonight. Bring that rivalry atmosphere, right? That rivalry mentality. And do you think that's what we're going to see tonight? Are these truly rivals?
Oh, they are. Absolutely. Like I said, I always refer to the three teams as a throuple.
Yeah.
Right? They all play hard against each other. They all hate each other. They all have their characters. You got Villiers down in the county, right? You got Newman out here with Trent Hills.
Yeah.
And you got Patrick Cole in Madoc, right? My three outstanding. They're all I'll say it. They're all loudmouths, right? They all skate around the chip on their shoulder. They all play right on the edge. They get kicked out for various reasons. They do, but that's the way they play, and they're valuable to their teams.
Love to see it.
Right, exactly. Like, you looked at Valier when he tied up the game there last week with Madoc and the county.
Yep.
He was pumped, right? Get that grinder player that gets the goal, right? You look at Trent Hills, Jake Newman scored the very first goal in history for Stallions. So that's a big one. And Patrick Cole scored the big one there last week where, he put the shot, the great rebound, then slammed to the boards head first. So it's just they sacrifice their bodies, they go like hell, and, yeah, that's just what they do. Those are my three little kind of character players, right?
I love it because, you fill us in on all this when, like I said, we can only look at a game sheet and watch a feed from where we're at, but knowing hockey and being a fan and now working for this league, I've been stressing it to people at home. Maybe there's, medical reasons, family reasons you can't get to a game, but if you get the opportunity to go live in person, it is the best experience you're going to have. You're going to meet great people. You're going to meet, obviously, like I said, you can meet the players after the games. You can have a great time in your local community, and that's what the OSHL really has strived to do, right? Bring not only great hockey to you, but bring it right to you in your community. You don't have to drive to Toronto and sit with a bunch of suits and pay $1,000 and nobody cheers. That's not what we're all about, right? We want to get a local atmosphere going. We got youngsters going already. They're already up here having a great time, getting the cornhole going over there. Like, this is what this league's all about. I'm super excited to see it happen, and what better way to do it than to be here in Trent Hills and get to see this for ourselves in Warkworth. This is just awesome. And quickly, I wanted to plug last night's games. We're going to talk about that a little bit and then kind of recap what happened last night and the playoff implications that last night did present to us. So last night got started off. We don't really need to go in detail about the Orangeville and Richmond Hill game. It was pretty straightforward. Richmond Hill did not have Zion Michelli. Kyle Newton, the backup goaltender, he played very well. Merrick Pavles was in net for the Orangeville Blitz as well, so it was kind of a battle of the third stringers, you would say.
Yep.
Because David Ayers is still technically the starter there, even though I haven't seen him in a bit. But I think Michelli has fairly taken that one over. But it was an entertaining game through and through in terms of physicality. I noticed Richmond Hill plays very chippy. They want to draw penalties. And I can't blame them. They have the power play unit. They have Golovachev out there, who's centering. There we go. I'm already forgetting. It starts with Maya.
Larakis?
Maya. Larakos is on the point of that power play, and he's got a great wrist shot. He's always playing up near the red line. He wants to go. And you throw out Thorpe on defense as well, and he's a newer guy to that team. And I was really impressed. I think Richmond Hill, They have a little bit of depth issues. I think the third and fourth line are where maybe they can't compete with the bigger teams like Orangeville, because we were saying that last night on the broadcast.
Gassed.
Orangeville can throw out they can run 4 lines, but only 3 centermen, and you got an OHLer, a former OHLer on every line. And some nights you have a former NHLer on the top 2 lines, right? Like, it's going to be hard to compete with that. But I was impressed with Richmond Hill. I think, like I said, they're taking steps in the right direction, and they're competing, which is huge. But I think that the way that they play, eventually when they come up here, against Madoc or County, or maybe they'll meet Trent Hills in the first round in the if it becomes the 2-3 battle, who knows, right? Depending on how this all plays out. I think the way they play, that little chippy, looking for power plays, a couple dives here and there, I think that could come back to bite them when they come up here.
Well, especially when Richmond Hill goes into Madoc, right? We've
Yeah.
seen how
Now,
how the last 2 games ended in Madoc, which is, again, we think it's an unfortunate thing because we're trying to put the professional into the league, but that's where the games went.
Yeah.
Right? Richmond Hill, let's go back to the 7-0 win they had. Things get out of hand.
Yeah.
Players didn't like what was happening. Guys really had to restrain themselves. Tyler Cassable, those guys, they really had to restrain themselves. But again, Richmond Hill was kind of showboating. And, then you look at the last game. Unfortunately, Madoc was in the driver's seat the whole time.
Yeah.
Took their foot off the gas for, 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Bang, bang, 2 quick goals. Madoc got frustrated. Then we had a major, and then it went from there, right? And then, of course, we had Basie go in and take care of business.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, and they added that big bolster defenseman. I don't know if Basie was there last night or not.
I know he's suspended right now.
Yeah.
That's correct. He's from all that incident, actually.
Yeah.
For me, Richmond Hill, I like Pan. Pan's my favorite defenseman.
Yeah, he wasn't there either.
Wasn't
last
there
night.
either last night.
I love the way he plays. He's again, those players that stand out every time I doing the broadcast, and you guys do it too, right?
Yeah.
You say their name, like, wow, I'm saying this guy's name a lot.
This guy's all over it.
Yeah, what's with that, right? So he really controls the play.
Yeah.
So that's the key that I like.
Absolutely, and they're gonna do big things for sure. I mean, they have the foundation. They're lacking a little bit of the community support. That's going to come around if they can convince people in the city of Richmond Hill that this is good hockey, right? Because people in the city are tending to be more under the mindset of that they can do better somewhere else, and that's not the case, right? For what you pay, for what you get, this is the best bang for your buck. If you want to go, I mean, I'm still convinced there's more fans in Richmond Hill than when you go to see a Brampton Steelheads game, but that's a different story. Anyway,
I also think that's a pretty nice facility there. I haven't seen it live,
gorgeous.
but from what I've seen,
it's gorgeous.
It's nice.
So, Richmond Hill is well on their way to having a great product for people to, and once it starts, it's going to trickle.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And once you see the playoff action and the word of mouth and people start to show up, it's a total game changer. And we talk about how Alvinston did it, right? And it's community-based there that really was the driver of everything. So once you get that fan support, not only is it great because now you're able to put the money in your pocket or allocate it to what needs to be paid for, it's a huge booster for the players on the ice because there's nothing better than playing in front of a great atmosphere, right? A dead arena can be very challenging to play in.
Yep.
And once those fans show up, it's 180-degree switch, right?
Yeah,
so
100%. And it's about putting butts in seats, right?
Yep.
Like, I remember I had a conversation back and forth with a few people just about, I call out the city of Richmond Hill. I'll do it right now again. I'll call you out as the city of Richmond Hill. Go watch a Coyotes game. You guys can sit there and your big keyboard warriors and go on Instagram and this is beer league. First of all, come try out for one of the teams in the West if you're so big and tough. I'd like to see it happen. Second of all, why are you hating on something that is just getting started, right? That's the absolute joke of this whole situation. We saw this ring that I'm wearing right here and this hat that I'm wearing right now.
Always got to wear it, eh?
The game seven between Alvinston and Tilsonburg, 1,200 people, sold out barn. It was the closest to a pro game. I talked to players that were on both teams that have played pro hockey, and they said that was the closest they had been to a pro-like atmosphere since they left pro hockey. And, you got people out there in the city of a couple 100,000, and they want to hate on it and talk all that stuff online. And I know a lot of you people figure out through things like this, that we're talking, and we're just calling you guys out. Go watch a game, even if you don't want to support them. Go out, get a few butts in the seats, because I can promise you, I didn't know what I was walking into when I first walked into this league, Bill. I didn't know. I mean, it took me a couple years of living in Tilsonburg. They had a senior team since the stinking late 90s, early 2000s with the Vipers and then into the Thunder, and I hadn't watched it until 3.5 years ago. And I walked in one day not knowing what I was walking into. I saw former pro guys. I saw crisp power plays. I saw crisp passing. I saw great goaltending. I play beer league. Trust me. This ain't beer league. If you guys think it is, like I said, I'll welcome you to Alviston Killer Bees, Tilsonburg Thunder, Stratford Fighting Irish, even up here. Come up to Trent Hills, try out for the team if you're so big and tough. I'd like to see it happen.
to touch on that too, one of my former teammates and close friends, he was Western Michigan, and went on to play pro.
Broncos, eh? Very similar to this logo, eh?
Yeah. And he went on to play a short pro career before, unfortunately, his concussion issue that stopped him from playing for a good number of years before coming back and playing local senior. And speaking of the 2020 series against the C4 Centenaires, I'm pretty sure that's their name.
It is.
You got it.
Fact check. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill.
It is. No, it is.
We talked about it.
We're just trying to get Bill Ryan involved,
He's ignoring
right?
me. So.
He doesn't want anything to do with this right now.
We
Well, I got a
would
bill right
talk
here,
about that series though, and he's played in really good hockey,
Yeah.
like top of the line hockey, and he says it probably was the best playoff series he's ever played in.
Yep.
Was in the senior hockey here. So just thinking of that Alvinston and Tillsonburg series last year, I'm sure many of those players, even the ones that have played really good hockey, probably could call that one of their best series that they've ever played in.
Oh, it was phenomenal, and I know from the Tillsonburg side of it, not a lot of guys on Elviston wanted to talk to me after that series. We've since mended things.
Well,
But,
you told them to enjoy the bus ride home.
I
I
said
believe.
enjoy the bus ride back to LV. I heard it's a long one, baby. That was my send off from winning.
Was that
in
to
Game
the
5 in
fans or the
overtime.
players?
That was
though?
to the fans.
Yeah, I never had an issue with the players. I still think that roster is the best constructed roster in the entire Ontario Super Hockey League. We'll see how it plays out in the postseason. We'll see. Maybe Petrolia could sneak one out tonight, and who knows? I mean, they might meet a little bit. They might meet in the second round this year because that first round series didn't do any justice. Only 5 games, not enough. We need a best of 7, which we're getting this year. Anyway, Elviston, great hockey team, but just talking to the guys in Tillsonburg, like I said, we have guys that played AHL. We had guys that played overseas in Europe in the highest levels like DEL, SHL. We had guys that played Junior A in Canada. We had guys like Brandon Kudo played for the Bowmanville Eagles up here. These guys told me to my face that this was the most excited they've been to play hockey since the glory days, right? I go back, high school football, right? Oh, yeah, we just lost the city championship. Those are the glory days. And to be able to recreate that feeling must be oh so amazing. And I hope for the kids up here in Warkworth and over across this entire county, I hope everybody, I said Warkworth, it's Warkworth. I apologize, everybody. There's
You almost
fine.
got lynched. You almost got
Fine.
lynched.
I waited because he gave me a little side eye, so I had a feeling, okay, I said that wrong.
I didn't think I was gonna have to do any editing for this one. Thanks,
Brad,
Trey.
edits all night. All right. But I just hope for the kids out here that, you know, recreating that moment, right, of their junior days and stuff, that it does get to come true. And what better way to do it than repping these absolute beautiful jerseys, or even the jerseys of the visitors tonight. Gorgeous jerseys as well. So before we close things out, I want to get down there right before warm-up here so we can get our eyes on the warm-up. We'll just break down the final. We kind of touched on it at the beginning. Tilbury and Delhi met in a must-win game for Delhi. Delhi obviously beat Tillsonburg in a huge upset a couple weeks ago. They then met Tilbury last night in a must-win after week prior. Delhi got spanked by Tillsonburg on home ice as a revenge game from Tillsonburg. Did not go the way of the Flames. It was unfortunate. Oh, yeah, we do have to do pick 'em. Bertsy did.
Yeah, I would hope so.
This is college game day, baby. All right, we're just winging it. But
He just saw the Patty's Pick'em wheel of numbers. Is that what it's called?
the Wheel of Destiny.
We got him picked here tonight. He didn't send in
Patty
his pick
is making
yet.
a pick unofficially, but we'll just blame it on the Camerons. But Tilbury comes out on top 8-3 over the Delhi Flames.
5-3.
Sorry, 5-3. There's another fine. This guy is livid right now. And for Delhi, they hung in there. They played well right to the end. Their season's over now. They are the 9th seed. They're the very first ever OSHL team to not make the playoffs, because originally we had the brief play-in series. Last year we had the actual play-in tournament. And then this year for Delhi, they don't make it. Again, for Shannon, everybody in Delhi, hopefully you guys make the steps in the right direction for next year. But now the dust has settled. Delhi on the outside looking in for Tilbury. Big 2 points at home. Tough game tonight. We'll keep our eye on that one as well. Obviously, it'll be happening while we're watching this game, so we won't be able to update you live. But keep your eye on oshl.ca if you want to get live score updates. Head to Game Center. The other huge game, the Strathroy Jets. Right now, the hottest team. When you look at winning streaks, the Strathroy Jets are now the hottest team in the OSHL. Crazy to say. I mean, we were talking crap for the first couple months of the year. You have the best goalie in the league. You have a former NHLer. You have these guys that played pro in the AHL and the DEL. What's going on? Well, since they acquired Jamie McQueen from that trade, they lost to Petrolia in dramatic fashion, a 4-1 blown lead. They got together in the room. They seemed to snap things in the right direction, and they won out their remaining schedule, which is incredible to say. And now they could finish as high as the 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah,
So.
I think they're actually four or five
Yep.
in their.
Yep.
Yeah, so really good, and that was prior to McQueen even coming over. You could see, obviously, that game in Tilsonburg where he said DeBrouwer stood on his head.
And Tremp was a monster.
Yeah, so, I mean, that team, you're playing the way you want to play heading into the most important part of the year.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing, right? You got Elvinston on the opposite side of things. They started out with an 18-1 record. They get blown out on home ice by Tilsonburg, and then now they've slipped the last couple in a row, right? So this is a huge momentum swing tonight. The Battle of Lambton. Can't wait to see. I actually got the live score update. We're still saying 0-0, but I'm just going to reset here and just check. Still 0-0. Big surprise. Those two teams play so tight, right? Can't wait to see how that one shapes up. And then, but for Strathroy, they beat Elora. Elora really didn't have much to play for, but I saw Martin in the lineup. I think he scored the first goal for the Elora Rocks. So they had their guys. Huge shout out as well to Joseph Clark. Look, man, you got the receipts. You called us out. Every one of us. Brian Hawley specifically called you the other guy. We do apologize, Joseph. You're excellent goaltender. You're in this league for a reason. Yeah, you're backing up one of the best goalies in this league in Colin Dunn. So no shame in that, but you've carried your team over these last few games and stepped into a role that, as a goaltender, if I had to play that many games in a row after being used to that backup role, I can't imagine the adjustment, right? So huge shout out Joseph Clark. You are not just the other guy. Your name is Joseph
And
Clark.
it's a great experience for him, too, playing in this league. I think his background is, I believe it was Junior C.
Yeah.
So, it's a step up to play in this caliber of league, and those are important games for him. You never know when you're going to have to be leaned on to play in those games come playoffs. It just could turn that way, right? So, huge minutes for him in net.
Huge minutes. And, I mean, for Elora, they head into the playoffs. I do believe that they are secured. I know we had a chat with Brian Hawley, but I believe the tiebreaker is in favor of Elora because I believe it's goals for, and there's no way unless Stratford scores 60 goals in their last 2 games, which they're playing Tilsonburg, so you never know. I don't think they can catch them.
No, I think
the head-to-head is where they lost that tiebreaker.
Yeah,
because they had a best-of-5 season series, and I believe Elora won 3 of the 5.
3 of the 5, yes. 3 or 4, but yeah, no, Elora has that tiebreaker over Stratford, so no, they are firmly in that 2nd seed.
All right, guys, that's our recap. Let's get over to the pick'em. I mean, this is the best part. We're going to conclude the show with this, and then we're going to send it off. I'm going to start with Patty's pick. Why don't you spin the wheel, and then I'll let Brad Thompson read it because he's the director of media relations, so it's his job to fill in when Patty's not here.
So Patty O'Neill decided not to text us in the group, so we are going to spin the wheel and see who Patty's picking. Thank you to Bertie for setting that up.
And we're assessing a fine, too, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. It couldn't be any closer.
Wow.
Patty O'Neill is picking the Madoc Wildcats to win tonight.
Congratulations,
Patty.
That was as tight as this could be. If only we could have had the graphic of that. It looked like Trent Hills for sure. And Madoc stole it right at the end.
It was right on that. I'd say that's basically an overtime pick. I'd say we need a graphic for that one.
Might have been a shootout.
Patty O'Neill is going to call the Madoc Wildcats in overtime.
There we go. All right. So, Bertsy, I mean, you're right there. Why don't you let us know who you're picking and give us a little reasoning?
Jeez. I thought we were going to be out in the cold part. I'm kind of getting a bit warm here, guys. So I got a...
Oh, no.
I don't know. Does that suffice? It's not the right logo, but I alluded to that I thought it might be a really tight game here, headed to overtime. I got Madoc winning 3-2 in overtime tonight.
Whew. Brad.
Well, that makes me feel better about my pick because I'm chasing you, and I lost that Elora Strathroy game that I was trying to chase you with. So we're in Trent Hills, and I'm gonna pick the Trent Hills Stallions.
Just want to hide that jersey. We're surrounded by Trent Hills fans, so I'm gonna have to
smart guy
keep the coat shut.
All right. Well, went back and forth on this one. Obviously, I mean, you guys are aware. Was under the weather, had an ear infection that led to an abscess that had to be surgically removed. So
we
folks
didn't
at
need
home,
to know all that.
That's why I was not able to be on the show. Hey, listen, I'm a hockey guy. If I'm not on the show, it better be a freaking reason. I was literally in the hospital. So that's your reason. I didn't just have a little tickle in my throat, all right? That's a different.
That's what we told her. That's what we told
everyone. Yeah, that's why I had to clear it up. Anyways, yeah, I was sneezing.
That doesn't sound like a true hockey guy. He would have made it if he truly was a hockey guy.
If they would have let me go, but you know how the Canadian healthcare system works, so you're waiting a few hours.
From the hospital bed, I was thinking.
Yeah. I should have, honestly, the gown on and everything. But anyway, guys, back and forth. Sometimes antibiotics play a little role on the mind and, try to sway things a certain way. But getting up here, seeing this, and, these guys have been so excited about us coming up here. They're taking the ice now. This is something that is huge to them, right? Bringing that exposure up here and getting us to get up here and see them live in person. I have seen both these teams in Orangeville, different atmosphere, road game. How can I not take the team that's on my chest right now? It's not a big surprise. I can't pull a Birdsey because I wasn't wearing my coat. I got the Trent Hills Stallions at home. It's going to be a tight game. This is one they need to win. I got them at home. Let's go Stallions.
Yeah, well, on Travis Gillespie night, again, the police officer that was killed, 2022, this whole night's all about him.
Yeah.
The foundation, everything else. Madoc really wants that home ice advantage. Trent Hills needs to secure where they are. Got to go with Trent Hills.
There we go. Okay, if Birdsey would have just not worn that stinking shirt, we could have had a clean sweep because I heard Joel's messing those up pretty bad. So
Madoc from Patty too, though.
Yeah, I guess
so.
because
we both had it tight. We both believe Trent Hills is definitely coming away with points tonight. So
it's true.
We
Either
expect
way,
a really good game.
the 1 point.
I also must say that my boys our team's the Blackhawks. They had a big 5-4 win over an undefeated team today. They're battling out at the top of the standings with the team from Port Stanley, and they were able to get it done. So I doubt they're going to listen to this unless I put it on for them tomorrow. But big shout out back to the Point Edward group there.
Shout out to Birdsey's boys and the Point Edward group. What's their team called? The Blackhawks, right? It's
Blackhawks.
There you go. Shout out to you guys. Big win. And for us, big win. Thanks a lot, Bill, for doing this with us tonight. This has been awesome. Being here live in person, guys. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. But, guys, I got to get drinking, all right? So I've had enough of this already.
The hayloft is open.
We're ready to go.
We got Senior in there. He's ready to rip.
Yeah,
so we're ready to go.
Players on the ice.
Hot dog costumes already here,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a great night. So
warm-ups are underway.
Wrap her up, and I'll go get the camera set up for the live stream. We'll see everybody over there, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. On behalf of Bill Newman, Mr. Brad Burton, and Mr. Brad Thompson, I'm Trey Hamilton, your host of the Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been the OSHL podcast live from Warkworth.